What's up, y'all? Welcome. This is episode 120 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and the title of this episode is Nita. N-I-T-A. Nita. Okay? I'll get into it. This is going to be huge. I've been prompted to make this for a little over a week. Here we go, okay? But yes, this is 1/4 of our company as a whole, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, okay? We get blunt and bold and raw and real and deep and all the things. Offensive? Yes. Okay, but In the Image Clothing Company has 4 sides to it. I'll talk about each of the other 3. I'll talk about where clothing sits, and then we'll get into the discussion, okay, as I do. So, the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, where it all started, still our main side, allowing, keyword, the human body to work. We come at it through clothing, and I'm going to play some guitar first, and then I'll pick up where I just left off, because I do an intro with, Little Red, actually, is who I have now. There's more to make right now. You know, I've been making some music actually yesterday and today with Little Red, the guitar, man. So okay, there you go. There's your intro. I'm gonna take the capo off, but yes, this is my little 3/4 size, beautiful guitar named Red. Okay, Johnson JG610R. All right, back to where I was about the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. The human body is about its skeletal system. Okay, a neutral in every joint. The fat content changes, the muscle mass does as well, but the body can only ever do what it was designed by God to do. Okay. I say the phrases, there's only one way the human body could ever work, because it's the truth. And I also say we're just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space, because essentially, okay? The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, naturally stabilizing our entire body, are in the center line of us. On Earth's gravity, there's 2 feet opposing the center, gripping inward, keeping us vertical. And there's just 2 sides to the body, okay? I just made a video. I just barely got back, like within 20 minutes from this moment, for the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, and I titled it, Standing Uses Less Energy Than Sitting, and it's just the truth. The reason I sound how I do right now is because it's so humbling. It's nothing I could ever claim. It's nothing that is ever my breakthrough. It's just, I know how the body works, and it's not my design, okay? So we talk about sitting, standing, eating, walking, sleeping, hydration, naturally, okay? In the Image Clothing Company clothing will always be made from 100% natural materials, because the human body is. It will stay centered and fit correct, where I'll discuss in a second, more like a minute, right? And that's how we allow the human body to work. You can never train the body. You can never stretch the body. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work. Muscles only contract. That's a video's title under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Again, it's just the truth. So, there you go, okay? In the Image Clothing Company music is another 4th of us, where I show how to size and set up guitars, and really just keep our body in its only working position while we make any music. Because we have to, okay? The hands are essentially the shoulders, as the feet are essentially the hips. So setups of guitar is huge, okay, for the hands. All right. The last fourth that I haven't mentioned here is In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We have, as of today's date, it's to come, In the Image Clothing Company's purebred standard poodle puppy breeding program. Okay, AKC registered, proper dogs. Yes. Okay. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Purebred Standard Poodle. No, it's titled The Standard Poodle Breeding Program. And I talked about it in there. But yeah, we also just have our whole point of letting dogs stay natural. That's our key phrase for that fourth of our company. Unnatural flooring is flat and slippery for the dog's feet. Unnatural materials and toys and accessories for dogs. Collars, leashes, and harnesses placed onto dogs made of unnatural materials, potentially imbalanced weight-wise and fit-wise. Dehydrated kibble, right? The water's been extracted. So we address these things. We do a lot of advocacy for good ownership of dogs and proper breeding, taking accountability as owners, a lot of things, okay? Poodle parade events under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We get together, purebred poodles of any size or poodle mixes of any size will come and hang out. Those are the only dog breeds allowed, okay? We do a lot, man. We do. And we do this stuff. I mean, yeah, so, all right. Clothing for everybody has to sit in the same location, okay? Yeah. We also have dog products that we will have, okay? That's why I say we do so much. But yeah, right. Natural dog products to not damage your dogs, man. We specialize in standard size poodles. I love poodles so much. Okay. InTheImageClothingCompany.com, where all four sides of the company come to. Now, yeah, still under construction as of today's date. Man, it's humbling, man. Okay, if you're a man or a woman, if you're tall or short, if you're skinny or fat, if you're any age or from any part of the earth, your clothing has to sit in the same location. Yeah, okay. Pants need to be entirely above the hips, so there's no restriction to the pelvis. Slightly higher in the front than the rear for the waistband angle to keep the core muscles as they would always and could always only ever work activated, okay? The human body would and will always only work activated as a whole. It's all one. Anywhere any of it goes, all of it has to come. The tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders that need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders because our shoulders can only ever work behind our head, okay? The edge seams of our shoulders need to be right at the very edges because that's where the functionality of the shoulder joint is. I just started to smile and nod, and I'll explain in a second why. Two things we have as prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company. Conditional, okay? Ropes and shoes aren't always there. We call them shoelaces. There's only one way to weave them across the top of the mechanics of the human foot without altering it. That's what we call In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, found wherever you can find our 5-word name as a whole, In the Image Clothing Company. With that, we have to tie our shoes evenly over toward the center line of the human being because there is one, okay? Secondly, we remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere a tag is placed in clothing, it's causing either just a gap that's not allowing the body to be in its only working position, or really, just not allowing musculature to activate. Then you've got the body trying to compensate, and it can't because it's all one, okay? The reason why I started to smile when I said that I did, for those of you in audio only, you might not have really noticed. Maybe you could hear it, maybe. But In the Image Clothing Company podcast is available in visual plus audio, as well as just audio. But when I was talking about In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, that fourth of our company, I was like, man, why does this feel the way that it does this time that I'm saying it in episode 120 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast? And it's because the title of this is Nita, okay? Whether you're pronouncing your T's or you're not, it's either Nita or Nita, okay? That's the name of my first standard poodle that I don't even have yet. As of me saying this right now, physically at least, my possession of her isn't here. Hasn't been acquired quite yet. But I know some things sometimes. We get prompted sometimes, man, that things are going to happen and, just to expect some things. And it's, I played this song in an episode or two back of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And I wrote this, right, unexpected and undeserving. Unexpected and undeserving and everything like the tables turn. Undeserving and unexpected and everything is just a lesson, right? Anyway, the point with playing that a little bit there is we're supposed to be unexpecting as human beings. Sons and daughters of God is who we are as human beings, okay? And he's perfect and we're not. And so we don't need to, and let me phrase it even better than that. We shouldn't be expecting things because we don't deserve anything, truly. We just don't. And, right? Undeserving and unexpected and everything here is just a lesson. Yeah. But the whole thing about it is that, right? Everything's just a lesson. And sometimes God wants to give us things because he's a giver of good gifts, okay? He says in Scripture, you being evil, if you can give good gifts to your children, right? Those fathers, if you were talking to fathers on earth, okay? How much then can a perfect heavenly Father give good gifts, right? That's not word for word, but that's a scripture in the Holy Bible. And God gives us good gifts, and sometimes he wants us to know that our gifts are going to come, and sometimes he gives us gifts as testimony builders for ourselves and others, because he'll tell us to expect something, and we'll be like, but that doesn't make sense. But he just tells us, no, expect it, trust me, have faith, and then when it comes, you'll know it was directly from me. And then for other people as well, if we know something's going to happen and we just have this deep-rooted conviction that, yes, no matter what, I know this and I don't know how, but God told me, if we stand on it and we have faith that we know we're going to be given this gift, even though it hasn't come yet, then when it does come, it's a testimony for other people around us because they're like, how did you know? And it's like, well, it wasn't me, but I really did get told by God through personal revelation, right? God reveals things to us personally because we have personal relationships with him. We're all equals under him, and sometimes we just get told things. And so, we can't have a poodle breeding program without having poodles to breed. And as I've talked about, each mother dog through In the Image Clothing Company's poodle breeding program, really it's In the Image Clothing Company Poodles breeding program, will only have 3 litters before we retire her, right? And spay her so she's not able to have more puppies, because we want the mothers to have as full of a life as we can while still breeding their bloodline and having good dogs come from good dogs, okay? And then registering it through the American Kennel Club, right? So it's all documented for future generations of dogs and dog owners, okay? As I say, a lot of what we do is advocacy for proper breeding under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. But Nita, I just know her, and it's weird. It's sometimes we meet somebody and it's like, I've known you before, or I've known you for such a long time, but I just met you physically. And this is what it is it's God's gifts. It's God's introduction to us of things that he's had for us that we just haven't physically come in contact with yet. So I just want to talk about Nita. And this is strange for people who don't really understand how this type of thing works. But, sometimes we just know things before they happen. I started saying In the Image Clothing Company was going to be huge when it was just very first a seedling, right? A mustard seed type company, right? In Scripture, it talks about having a mustard seed type size of faith, okay? The seed of a mustard grain is very, very small, and that's the amount of faith that God commands us to have, because that small little seed grows into a huge tree. And if we just have some faith, we can just know things because God will reveal things to us. Not just give us things that we want, but reveal things to us that He wants us to have and that He needs us to have for His glory. Because with all that we do under In the Image Clothing Company, it's for other people. Even Nita, the first dog in our breeding program, my first dog. Yeah. I've been saying, maybe not so much through In the Image Clothing Company content, but yeah, Nita especially being the first, she's going to change my life. And in all seriousness and in so many ways, it's going to help me grow to have her to take care of. And, once she has puppies, help her be a mother and help with the puppies. And also, she's just going to get me out, Not that it's a bad thing in times, because I'm very reserved and that's just naturally who I am. But the adventures that she's going to want to go on, that I'll be able to take her on, hiking, camping, the poodle parade events, I'll bring Nita. She's going to help me a lot. And poodles love water. Dogs are individuals as well, but the breed, they were bred to be water retrievers, kind of like a Labrador retriever for ducks, waterfowl, birds. When you'd go hunting, they'd send them out into the water to retrieve the bird and bring it back to you if you shot the bird and it landed in the water, Like the ducks fly, shoot the duck, the dog goes and gets it and brings it to you, so you don't have to personally go out there in the water. And that's why they have the hair that they do. They were bred to have that traditional poodle cut coat, right? Or whatever style you think of when you think of those pretty elaborate poodle haircuts. It's because certain parts of the dog would be cut short to be able to dry quick, right? After getting wet. But then the other parts of the dog would stay longer to insulate the organs of the dog, like the lungs and the kidneys, the joints of the legs, the head. So that's actually why poodles had that cut in the beginning, okay? And I don't like water so much. Not that I need to, right? But maybe in ways she'll be able to help me with that. She's a water dog, man. Again, who knows? Maybe she doesn't like water, right? We'll have multiple poodles, but Nita will be the first under In the Image Clothing Company poodles and all that it is. Not just the breeding program, because it's not just that we're breeding dogs, but we do a lot with dogs. And Nita will be the matriarch, meaning just the first woman, the founding woman of In the Image Clothing Company poodles. And yeah, man, just having such a sister, man, because that's what it is. We talk about being brothers and sisters in Christ, and God's creations are God's creations. Animals have male and female, just like human beings have male and female. I'm talking about a breeding program here, right? I mean, it's one of God's creations being a woman and another one of God's creations being a man getting together and producing life. And so Nita is my sister. And I think it's weird for some people, right? Because often people have the potential to just think about dogs as a pet. And maybe not even a pet because they don't even want them around them, certain people, right? And a lot of that's just come from past experience and belief of what they think a dog is. But a dog is just as much God's creation as me. And so all of our dogs are like our brothers and sisters. And so I was thinking about it last night, laying in bed here, I'm like, yeah, Nita, she's my sister, and that type of thing puts it into perspective when it comes to like a companionship, because nowadays dogs are bred for companions. And I don't mean that to be a bad thing when I say it like that, but people will kind of look at dogs as like a toy sometimes, and and that comes even more when we label dog sizes as toys. The smallest poodle size, well, right, debatably there's a teacup size of a poodle, but yeah, under 10 inches tall at the withers of a poodle is a toy-sized poodle. But people often then start to think of their dogs as a toy. They'll just drag them around and no, and I don't want to be saying cut and dry, this is a bad thing, but small dogs are bred down in size, right? That's how they get those small dogs. Other than certain breeds are naturally smaller, but a toy-sized poodle comes from the standard poodle, right? Meaning full-sized poodle. They take smaller dogs and breed them down, and through other ways. They don't only do it by taking the runt of the litter, but the poodle would naturally be the size of the standard poodle, a large dog. So sometimes I'm going to speak just out of me. That this part right here kind of is an opinion in a sense. I just want to be very transparent. What I see though, and not really an opinion, but when I look at small, maybe it is just my opinion, but I just want to be clear. I don't want to say this is just how it is for sure, what I'm saying right here, but I look at small dogs and I feel like some of the dog has been taken from it because it has been bred down in size. So I look at like a toy poodle and it just seems like it's missing part of its nature. But, there's times and places for things, and I want to be very authentic without trying to offend people, because what I'm thinking about, is like we're at poodle parade events down the road, right? Under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. And somebody brings a toy poodle and they've heard this episode and they're like, dude, what, Evan, you don't like toy poodles? What is wrong with you? I love my dog. I don't want to be offensive, but at the same time, I want to just be authentic. And I really can see that there's like almost part of the dog's nature missing when the dogs have been bred down in size because they've been like turned into something. And I understand most all dog breeds in a sense have been turned into what they are nowadays because of what we are going to do under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. We have breeding programs and we select specific dogs to put together to further the bloodline. So I get it, right? And that's why we have to say that phrase, times and places for everything, okay? Because there just are. It is. But, yeah, man, I just, because I feel sometimes less connected to dogs that have been bred down in size. And I most definitely feel less connected from mutts, right? And I've been very clear on where we stand under In The Image Clothing Company and at all four sides of us, just because we are who we are, on mutts, mixed dog breeds, and that's not good health-wise for the dog. And I've gone over it where I have under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. I made a video titled A Mutt is a Mutt. I made a video titled Proper Dogs. I made a video titled The Need for AKC Registering. Okay, there's a lot behind this. It's not an opinion on this. And that's why I said it's not really an opinion when I say I can see it's okay. And yeah, see, because I don't want to cover myself. I want to just be as real as it is. No, there is part of the dog that's been removed when it comes to just altering it from its pure breed, right? And yes, the toy size is still a purebred poodle, if it is, right? That specific dog. But yeah, man, that's the thing, like I say with advocating for all that we advocate for under In The Image Clothing Company poodles specifically, but really just, it's like what I say with the human body and allowing it to work. It's only what it is, and we can't alter it. And, to a degree, most every domesticated dog in modern day and going forth is just altered from how it would have been wild. But yeah, I feel so much more of like yeah, I do, man, connection with standard sized poodles. And a big thing is they're just such a smart breed anyway, you know. Yeah, man, I just get so humbled by this because I'm not gonna hold back, except for the times that I do, right? But I'm not going to. We are who we are, and that's why we are anything under In the Image Clothing Company. And yeah, because the thing with some other small dog breeds is they are very capable, even though they're small. The ones that are just naturally small, you've got little burrowing hunting dogs, right? But other dogs that have been bred down in size, it's like they can't really do very much physically. That's what I mean. They're just not right. They're not how they would naturally be. So, yeah. And a lot of it just takes understanding. Because growing up, I wanted a toy poodle. And I wanted a miniature Australian Shepherd, at another time in my life. I wanted a small dog because they're convenient to go places. But, yeah, I can like spiritually see a disconnect in the dog from its natural state. I really can. Yeah, I really, really, really can. So the thing with these standard poodles, man, and just how much I love them, as I've said, regardless if we had a fourth of our company dedicated to standard poodles or not, I just, yeah, my whole heart, dude, I love standard poodles. And this dog, man, Nita, because she's almost like a business partner too. As weird as this is, right? I'm saying it for people who are like, it's just a dog. What are you talking about? No, I mean, I think one beautiful thing to see for those people who just look at dogs as just dogs is there's some people out there that just pretty much can't even function in life for physical disability reasons, emotional, spiritual, all sorts of things that have happened in their past, right? And then they get a service dog and they're able to live a full life because of the dog's help. So this is the whole thing, right? Again, advocacy. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is not just like a way to make money through fun puppies that people just get sick of once they're adults, right? Because we have a proper application that people go through on who the puppies will go to, right? So they stay at that home for life. And it's not just like, anything that's just like one thing to do with poodles, but that's what I mean. Nita's gonna change my life, man. In so many ways. So here I am sitting and talking about her before I even have her in my ownership. And who knows what could come up. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything, but I mean, I just don't have expectations is the point, right? And so that's why this is just as real as it gets, as I say. But yeah, because in a lot of ways it's like an inconvenience to own dogs as well. There's places that just don't allow dogs, and so that's going to help me by humbling me, and having me have to put her life in a sense and in ways at higher importance than mine and her well-being and her health, because there's places that I just won't even be able to go to when she's with me that I could just go to because I'm a human being, right? Otherwise. And I need to be humbled, man. Oh man, but it's kind of like, you're pregnant, you and your wife, or if you are the wife, you and your husband, right? You're expecting a baby, and you just have so much love for the child before it's even been born. That's how it is for me and this beautiful dog, man. And what I love about the way that In the Image Clothing Company is structured, and it's all date marked and documented, it's like I can say whatever I want and who cares? But then as time goes on, right, things line up, and then we can look back, and that's what I was saying at the beginning as well about using it as a testimony builder, where I just knew these things were going to happen, and the documentation of me saying them happen before they did is there, and then you can see the documentation of when they did happen, It's this beautiful dog, Nita, man. And it's crazy too because, I'm so unpredictable, man, and I have this certainty set on the name for this girl. And I think I first said it in an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And I think that's the first time that it came to me as well. And because I remember it, I kind of sat there as her name's going to be Nita. Even that in itself, right? I mean, that's documented in one of the numbered episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. So, there's been a lot of dogs that have changed the world, man. And that's really what I mean when advocating for dogs, man. Dogs so often just get pushed around, and people just call the police or the law enforcement on somebody's dog when it didn't really do anything wrong. Dogs get put into shelters and reasons that could have been avoided. I don't think there's, I'm going to say it like this because it's the case. I know there's a lot of people that just don't realize what dogs can do or don't realize what horses can do. People are driving cars, but before there was vehicles with modern man-made machinery, people got around on animals. And if you didn't care for your horse, you wouldn't have transportation, or your mule, or whatever it is. Same thing with dogs. There's people who have dogs as working dogs in all sorts of ways, and they just wouldn't be able to do their job. They wouldn't be able to herd their cattle or their sheep. They wouldn't be able to even physically do things for themselves if they didn't have the dog trained to do those things for them. You know what I mean? You do now, because I've told you. This is what I'm talking about with advocacy. Yeah. I'm just throwing wrenches all of a sudden, right? Because I'm so convicted with this. I'm like, man, listen to the truth. How I was toward the beginning of In the Image Clothing Company, I couldn't say a thing in a calm demeanor, dude, talking about how clothing affects the body because it's just as real as it is. And I was just listen to it. And that's kind of how I feel now because it's the starting into In the Image Clothing Company Poodles and all that it will be for me, right? I'm just at the start of it, really, just a few weeks in to even having it be a fourth of our company. Right around a month, give or take, probably, but I think a little bit less. And somewhere around there. Anyway, as you can tell how it's hitting me, that's what I mean. It's not just that I think dogs are cute and I want to get them some fluffy haircut and then sit there and play around while they're in the corner and never give them attention, but they're cute, right? No, it's going to be a huge whole lifelong thing, man, a movement, with events. Let me phrase that well, or enunciate it proper. Events, okay? I mean, poodle parades are going to be huge, and I'm not going to go to poodle parades without having a poodle of my own, right? I'm not asking for agreeance, and maybe, maybe I could host a poodle parade event under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles without bringing a dog of my own, but I just mean, I'm going to have my own poodles and multiple, and yeah, dude, Nita, being the first dog that I own, and being the first poodle under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, she's going to be the one that paves the way for what this all is. That's why we use that phrase matriarch, you know? The first one, man. And there's just so much that's special about poodles, man. I've got into it, and we will. And again, a lot of it's advocating. Because people don't like dogs because they drool. And poodles just don't drool. I mean, it's an animal, and yes, drool could come out of its mouth. But it just pretty much doesn't happen. They're really clean dogs. They don't shed. At least, just about the amount that human beings shed, okay? Hair can fall out, but it doesn't. They have hair. They don't have fur like other dogs. And, there's other dog breeds, too, that are good in the ways that they are and have similar traits and qualities to poodles, but we specialize in specifically standard size purebred poodles under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. And, just breaking a lot of misconceptions. A lot of people just don't know, they don't like dogs because of reasons that they've experienced in the past or that they've been told by other people in the past. And not all dogs are like that aggressive, drooly, snarly, barky, messy dog that you might be thinking about. There's some dogs out there that are just so well behaved. They're better behaved than you. I mean it. There's dogs out there that are way better behaved than me. I mean it. And so that's the thing, right? Advocating for stuff like that. And who knows, right? What Nita's temper is going to be. When I say temper, I mean temperament. But she's going to be a good dog. When I say who knows, I just mean I don't actually personally know her yet. But she's going to be a good dog. And, just like any human being can improve, any dog can improve. There's just so much we're going to do together, Nita and I. Seriously. I want to make this so real, man. And yeah. Well, they call dogs man's best friend, and I'm not lonely. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Alone, Not Lonely. But yeah, there's no but to that, as if but she'll help me in that way. No, I don't need a dog for that. I don't need a human being for that. But in ways, yeah, it's like a separate comment. And that's kind of what I mean, too, with advocating, where a dog's their own thing. It's like human being to human being, they're their own thing. It's, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled It's Not About Them. And in a lot of ways, that goes along with what I'm saying right now. People will get another human being in their life, okay? A significant other that's not so significant other than they just have somebody there. Holy wordplay. That's funny. It's not funny, though, when you're on the other end of that. Sometimes people just don't really care who's there, but they need something. They need God, but then they'll have another human being in their life. And that's what I was saying when I say people treat dogs as toys. It's like, oh, this is a fun thing that I have. No, this is its own entity. A dog is its own being. It's its own individual. And so again, advocating for those type of things as well. That's what I mean. Our whole phrase for In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, that fourth of our company, is letting dogs stay natural. Naturally, a dog is its own role player. Dogs are pack animals, and within the pack, they have their own roles that they play, like the alpha dog, and then you've got dog, right? Like within a pack of wolves, you've got dogs that will flank around the sides. You've got the lone wolf. You've got the leader of the pack. You've got dogs that come in certain organized ways of hunting. Dogs have different roles they play in society like human beings. Even domesticated dogs, they're still just what they are, man. And, right, so when I talk about how we advocate for taking accountability as owners of dogs under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, that's a big thing, is not trying to tell your dog what to do all the time. Realizing your dog is just an animal, and it would just be that if you weren't there. Kind of like how in relationships, from human being to human being, The other person is just another son or daughter of God. And they would be that, whether you were in their life or not. And people try to control other human beings. Or people get into relationships and think that now the other person needs to be something because they're in a relationship with you. No, that's not how it works. Again, advocacy, and I'll get as bold as I get, right? Throw the cuffs on, sharpen your pitchforks kind of thing, right? As I do. I mean, I get bold because, yeah, stuff's just what it is, right? There's no beliefs you can have to change truth. Truth is truth. Episode 2 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, okay? Yeah, no, I mean, dogs are just individuals, man. And so, again, Nita, like I was saying about just how all the ways she's going to help me. I mean, I love her, man. I don't, personally, like, physically know her yet. So, man, So this is what it is. When I talk about In the Image Clothing Company, man, and I say that everything we talk about here, and take that with a grain of salt, but just about everything we talk about here will apply to every human being on the face of the earth forever. And the reason why I say just about is because it's stuff like this, where even if you don't play guitar, I show how the human hands work through guitars, and there's only one way the human hand could ever work, okay? It's just what it is. And through poodles, and Nita specifically, there's a lot that I will be able to show relationship-wise that even transfers over to any relationship that we could have as human beings. And just watching my growth in relationship with Nita, right? Posted publicly on In the Image Clothing Company, because she'll be in episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and the visual part of it. She'll be my dog, dude. You know what I'm saying? And on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, I'll be making videos still about the anatomy of the human body and how clothing works. Yeah, it's not quite what I meant. How clothing has to sit on the human being, Or, man. And Nita will be with me, right? In the Image Clothing Company's main side events, where I get with people and I discuss the anatomy of the body, and we debunk myths, and we just discuss things as they are, right? Allow people's bodies to work after years of doctors not being able to, right? Chiropractors, physical therapists, personal trainers. They can't fix you if you're placing things onto your body that are altering it, even within the clinic where they're trying to fix your body, right? No, it's not anything that you think it is if you're not looking at it as it is. And so, anyway, Nita will be with me everywhere that I go. And we probably won't be having dogs allowed at just about any of In the Image Clothing Company's main side events when I'm with people, right, for the anatomy of the body and clothing reasons. But I'll have her, right? I'm the founder of the company. I'm the one hosting the event, and she's my dog, and she's 1/4 of our company as a whole anyway. Yeah. Or any poodle that I do have, because, Nita's going to die one day. Almost certainly before I do, right? Poodles only have about a 15-year, give or take, lifespan. So, once I no longer have Nita, I'm going to have other poodles as well, right? But she's the matriarch, So, yeah, anyway, because that's the thing, she is just as much as part of the family of In the Image Clothing Company as Evan Strong, the founder. Because she's my sister, dude. That's what's so crazy about it, It's like, it's just real as it gets. So, anyway, I've got a lot of passion behind this, man. I'm not doing stuff because it's fun and silly and whatever, because I don't care to be fun and silly and whatever. I turn a lot of people off in life because I don't care for small talk, and I don't care to just sit there and joke around about pointless things. I do not. And I think a lot of people get quite offended because I just am not amused by things. And that's your fault for getting offended. See, even that sentence in itself, it's like, holy cow, that was offensive. But that's why I say, we talk about things that are offensive, especially under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, where I tell people how it is and how could he, right? Same with dogs, and if it offends you, cool. But there's reasons to me calling a mutt in the way that it's not a good thing, right? And yeah. And I've been looking at dogs for sale, puppies, I don't know when exactly I'm going to get Nita, but I've been looking, and some people, I'll message them and I'm like, are your puppies registered? And they're like, no, they're not. And I'm like, okay. And then I just, I'm not interested anymore because, right? And there's just a lot of reasons to doing it. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the ability to register dogs for the reasons why we register dogs, and I went over in that video I referenced. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't mess around, and I haven't throughout my whole life, and I felt out of place as a kid because I was kind of an adult around my friends. I mean, I'm still immature in the ways that I'm immature, right? But I don't like silliness. But I like to make jokes and have fun, right? You got to see what I'm saying, but yeah, like I've said since the founding, right? Hear what I am saying, not what you're hearing, right? Because people take stuff however they want to take it. But what I'm saying with Nita is it's not just like, guys, my dog's cute. I'm going to use her for advertisement because other people will think she's cute too. So we'll get better clothing sales. No, but what she will be an advertisement for is dog products, but not just to sell dog products. And that's the whole thing about this, dude. It's so silly to me. People out there, they just put some logo on somebody else's design and they sell it for money. Man, I mean, our logos will always be on the interior. The Alaskan interior. On the inside of clothing, though, is where it will say, In the Image Clothing Company. On the inside of our dog products, in the ways that we can, is where it will say, In the Image Clothing Company. But what I mean by Nita being an advertisement for the dog collars, for example, is the lightness and the balancedness, weight-wise and fit and stuff to it, man. She'll be able to just work well. She'll walk around with that good poodle posture. I made a video under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles titled Poodle Posture, and I went over it. But yeah, I mean, just being able to actually work as a dog is designed, and her life will, I mean, again, whatever happens, I'm not in charge, but she'll be set up for, and all of our puppies as well, under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles breeding program, will be set up for a longer life than they would otherwise have, with heavy, imbalanced collars placed on them, and this is what I'm talking about. It's as real as it gets. So, yeah, there you go. I think that's where we'll wrap it up. But I just wanted to talk about Nita, man, before she's even in my life. And, express the love that I have for something that I haven't even been given yet, but I know that I will. So, yeah. There you go. Cool stuff, man. Big dogs too, they get a bad reputation. Small dogs get a bad, get talked bad about because, they're often more yappy. But big dogs, people are like, it's a big aggressive dog, and they want to call the police because, they think they're in danger. And yeah, I mean, sometimes they can be scary because sometimes dogs can be dangerous. Oh, definitely. But poodles already are just such a gentle temperament breed. They're almost always nice. It's just in the genetics of the breed of a poodle, right? So even those things, right? I mean, having kids see our poodles and, I'm not going to keep talking about it. I don't even know. In a good way, I'm not going to keep talking about it right now, but there's just so much that we're going to do advocating for dogs, okay? And Nita's the first one. So literally, I'm emotional about it. I think that's kind of obvious, and I have been since, anyway. Nita, man, so look out for it. I'm not making some claims or like hoping for something. I've just been told some things, dude, and as I say, right? We discuss undisputed, eternal, universal, non-changing, apply to everybody, and all the things that I say, truth, and only that. And then, but sometimes I'm wrong. I mean, I'm a human being, bro. So, nah, but it'll happen, right? I mean, just, yeah, yeah, bro. I mean, I just did a whole, yeah. That's what it is. That's why this is ending the way that it is, or however much longer it goes. That's why I feel how I do right now, and I'm speaking how I am, because it's just as real as it gets. I mean, I couldn't even finish saying what I was about. You know, little kids sometimes are so afraid of dogs, man, and just the advocacy. Okay, advocating for dogs. I'm just having companions of my own as well. Not that I'm like lonely and I need something, because I do not. No, let me make that very clear. I need God only, and I could never be lacking him because he's ever present on his end, right? It's just up to me to be open to him. But, you know, Nita, man. Okay. I'm gonna play a little bit more guitar. I just, you know, I think it's gonna come as a shock to people too. The way that I approach my relationship with dogs. It's kind of like that parable about how, you know, God's the one that never leaves the one behind. He'll leave the 99 sheep in the wilderness to go find the one who went astray. I think it says he leaves the 99 on the mountain, but right, his sheep are numbered, and there's no sheep that's of less importance to him. And you know, the way that I love dogs is, I think, something that will be very shocking to a lot of people, because a lot of people look at dogs as almost more of just a nuisance than anything else. And I'm going to be going above and beyond to give my dogs what they need. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, Nita, man, I can feel her, bro. It's dude, it's so real. You can hear it coming through me how real it is. That's what it's like, is having, you know, when you have a child on the way. I'm gonna cry. I don't know if I really will, but I feel it. And you just love the child so much, and you don't, you know, you don't even know them yet. That's how I feel, and that's how I've been feeling for, you know. It's so crazy, bro. Nita, man, I mean, and everybody's going to love her too, man. I mean, there's some dogs out there, not for the sake of being famous, but they're famous because, you know, what they have done for people. And she'll be like that because In the Image Clothing Company is huge, and she'll be such a huge part of it. And every dog dies. I think that's the thing, you know, is like I'm saying, it's not some hope or some like, she'll fulfill me. No, not by any means, because I'm totally prepared for her to die one day. And I think even that in itself will be able to, be used as a testimony for others because it'll all be documented. So, yeah. Yeah. She'll be so pretty though. I mean, she'll have a pink collar on probably all the time. I think she's pretty much going to always be in a pink colored collar. And you can do a lot of cute things with poodles, like put little bows on their ears and yeah. You can dress them up with their haircuts or you can do it really simple. Yeah. Yeah, so this is what I mean, it comes from love, man. So yeah. All right, man. This is episode 120 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. My name is Evan Strong. The owner of Nita, the dog. Normally I'll say I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah, I am.